Hello guys, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Morning.
Okay, so we're going to start the presentations right now. I don't know if team number 1 is already here.
Yes, we are, Professor. I believe that Enrique is just connecting right now. I don't know if Enrique is already here. Yes, he is. Enrique, are you here?
Aquí estoy.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to share the screen.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, can you see it?
Yes, we do.
All right. Good morning, everyone. We are team number 1, integrated by Dana Yanez, Enrique Condon, Katia Gonzalez, Jimena Alvarado, and me, Andres Lema. Today, we're going to be talking about the service-oriented company, Spotify. All right, so first off, we've got the main characteristics. As we all know, Spotify is a freemium music streaming service, which basically means that it is free. However, users may pay in different tiers to access premium content. The app also allows shuffle play and lyrics viewing, Spotify Radio, which combines different types of music tastes for users, and personalized playlists based on your listening habits.
The main innovations for Spotify, the first one is that the end of the year reviewers driven by the user data. Also, the Discovery Weekly, that is a personalized playlist based on customers' taste, and the reverse of the past decade, decreasing global recording music industry.
Some of opportunities are like 3. The first one is video streaming, since user penetration will be at 20.7%, and it is projected to increase to 21.2% by 2025. The second opportunity is podcasts. The popularity of podcasts accounts for a 24% increase in Spotify subscribers, and that increase took place in quarantine. And the third opportunity is artist endorsements, since a new collaboration with a new artist boosts company sales by 4% on average.
These are the challenges for Spotify. The first one is that there's a lot of competitiveness in the industry. That there's already YouTube Music, Apple Music, and Amazon Music. So there's a lot of companies in the industry. Another one is unfair royalties, that loyalties harmless with several artists who think that the royalties that they receive per song are not fair. So this is a challenge because they need to ensure that their artists feel that they are receiving a fair royalty. And then strain relationships with record labels such as Warner Music Groups, Universal, and Sony Music.
Then here we have the Spotify's future, and it will significantly increase investment in podcast acquisition and creation. It will also create an intense interaction experience between the recording artist and the fans, and it will be able to design an all-new hybrid of music entertainment that combines physical concerts with digital leisure.
That would be all on our behalf. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Yeah, someone has any questions? I think it was interesting. Pretty much I think everyone is it's a well-known company and pretty much everyone has it in the phone. So it has really changed how music was listened in the past. And I think it has a lot of opportunities to grow, right? So thank you so much. It was an interesting company.
Thank you.
And so team number 2, are you complete to start the presentation? Thank you.
Well, hi, good morning, everyone. We're team number 2, and we're going to go ahead and continue with the Uber, which is one of the biggest services right now. And well, what makes Uber different? We are mainly going to share the whole services that Uber has, which are included from Uber Pool, Uber Black, Uber X, Uber Bus, Uber Van, Uber Assist, Uber XL, Uber Planet, Uber Eats, which is one of the greatest brands that grow in the past year through the pandemic, the Uber Chopper, Uber Both, and a working in progress, which is the Uber Freight.
Moving on with the main characteristics of the service that Uber offers, we know that it is an international service that provides customers with vehicles and the respective drivers through their mobile app. They also have other features such as pickup scheduling, if in case you need to be picked up different times a week at the same hour, so you can schedule it. And you can also see how good a driver or customer is based on personalized reviews by customers. And it is also greatly digital.
Well, the main challenges and opportunities we found for Uber in the near future is that they can have the maritime and air business opportunities. They can also got the electronic vehicle service opportunities, including Teslas or Neos or any kind of hybrid vehicles. And the partnerships with different airports and maritime ports as well, and as them offering a different alternative service depending on the city, as they have, for example, in New York, they offer the Uber Chopper service, which is you rent in a way a helicopter to move you in certain parts of the city or from airport to airport. And the main challenges is the security compliance, the profile check on the drivers, which you never fully know if a driver is are you feeling safe with him? And the chauffeurs may not fully comply with the legal requirements because they are not under a taxis union. And another challenge is this one, the Uber versus the taxi drivers union, which was a big deal when Uber just came out.
So for the future, we identified the air travel with Uber Elevate and the Uber Freight, which are the less explored options of Uber, and we see a huge possibility of growing with a different market, so and expanding.
Yes, and as for the main features for the future, Uber has been considering the air traveling with Uber Elevate and the Uber Freight, which includes just like trailers around the country, or you can rent a trailer, a truck. Thank you very much.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think it gave a lot of opportunity for new jobs, like in general. And it really makes us feel safer by driving with someone that you know in some way. So yes, I think it was a good presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss.
So team number 3, can you start presenting, please?
Yes, I can share my screen.
Okay, hi. So we're team number 3, and we're going to talk about Rappi. We are Angela, Sara, Mariana, Cristina, and Yami.
So we think that Rappi and all delivery apps have been really relevant, like on the recent past year, at least. One clear example could be the COVID-19 pandemic, because they have turned into a universal matter of convenience and also a necessity, because it's a stress-free service. Like, it's the safest way of obtaining different products from different stores, restaurants, supermarkets, and more. And this is because someone else does it for you. So again, it's convenient. So that's why.
Well, in the innovation against competitors, we have 3 main services that are very that are innovation in the market, which is Rappi and Banorte Alliance, which is that Rappi and Banorte are formalizing a strategic alliance to create a new company with the purpose of offering digital financial services. Also, they are already trying to enter to the streaming business. The application will start to live streaming concerts. Users will pay for the event, and most of the proceeds will go directly to the artist. And also they have another service that I saw on the news that right now is paused due to COVID, but they created at the beginning of the pandemic a service called Rappi Care, which is that users can make video consultations with general practitioners and also receive doctors directly in their houses.
The main opportunities for Rappi now in this new environment are mainly 3. The first one is related to environmental consciousness, and it could mean that Rappi could innovate in modes of transportation of packages using more environmental friendly products or transport modes. Also, geographic expansion. Right now, Rappi only works in several cities in Latin America, so they could move into new cities in the same area or expand out of the actual continent. And new strategic alliances, as our partner just said, they have an alliance with Banorte, but they could make some new ones with social networks even that are gaining popularity amongst users.
Okay, so 3 of the main challenges we detected for the future as a team are: number 1, for companies that work alongside Rappi to acknowledge like the big service business model that Rappi has. So they create independence from Rappi and they start their own business model. This will be really hard for them because Rappi already has a lot of assets and it's very well positioned in the market, but it is a risk and a challenge. As a second challenge, we have the entrance of new competitors. As we know, well, there are many competitors right now, but it is not nearly as what it will be on the future because of the service development here at the country and the different countries and cities. And as a third challenge, we identify the introduction of innovative tech delivery methods, such as robots and drones that are being already implemented in some countries, such as the United States. So yes, these are the main challenges for the future, but there are many others that will certainly come up in the next years.
In the company future, as my teammate said, Mariana, since Rappi is located only in Mexico and South America, it has a lot to offer for expansion. And it has said that it is one of the pioneering technology companies in Latin America. So they will seek to strengthen their new offerings, such as deliveries in minutes through small supply centers, and as the turbo option in their financial services. The turbo option is now available in Mexico City, where you order a maximum of 5 products. And the application makes the strategy of sending a delivery person to the nearest one, so that it only reaches you in a period to 5 to 10 minutes. So also they seek to expand into the United States, but they are searching for new methods of technology to be a powerful competition. And that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I just have like a general question to all the class. Have you heard about the streaming and the RappiCare like lately? Like someone had knew that information, I didn't, and I think it's like, it's really interesting.
I honestly haven't heard of it, but I thought as well that it was very interesting, like this adaptation they made for COVID.
Yes, maybe they have to put it like more ads or something just for people to get to know what they're like doing. But it's pretty much a good app. I think this one too, like everyone has it in the phone and use it like maybe 2 times a week. So thank you so much. So team number 4, can you start presenting?
Hi, good morning. We're team number 4 and we are going to present Aeromexico. Okay, so as for Aeromexico's history, it was established by Antonio Elias Lombrado and started out as Aeronaves de Mexico in 1934. Then some years later, in 1988, declared bankruptcy due to lack of organization. But some years later, they recovered by buying over Mexicana. That was the second biggest airline in Mexico at that time. As for right now, the company has over 500 daily flights with over 70 destinations in 4 continents and a float of over 100 planes.
Moreover, here we have information about Aeromexico. Aeromexico has 25.37% of the national passenger in the air traffic in Mexico, according to the statistics in 2020. The top competitors of Aeromexico in the national market are Volaris, Interjet, Viva Aerobus, Main Charters, and Aeromar. And the competition between these national airlines varies mainly from the route to route, fare levels, flight frequency, reliability of services, brand recognition, and the customer service. Here we have the top competitors. For example, Volaris is a low-cost airline and is the largest airline in Mexico because in the national market, it represents 38.9% of the passenger air traffic. And in the international market is mainly 6.3 in the market share. Viva Aerobus is the third in place here in Mexico, according to the National Transportation, and also is a low-cost airline. And in the national market, it represents 24.42%, and in the international market is 0.6%. Also here we have the Main Charters that are other type of national transportation, but it is like a little company of airlines, and it represents only 1.7%. And moreover, here we have the Aeromar, that is also national line of airlines, and it is mainly regional, and it has 1.5% of market share.
The innovations that this company has created, the first one is the collaboration with Grupo Modelo for the campaign, Si te cuidas tú, cuidas a México, to create a hand sanitizer together to promote health and cleanliness. The second one is IATA Travel Pass COVID Passport, can also be called. This airline is also implementing the application created by the International Air Transport Association as a strategy to keep their passengers safe, be agile to travel, and trusty. The third one are the new planes that are the Boeing 737 MAX 9 that are equipped with HEPA filters that clean the cabin air every 5 minutes to prevent the virus from spreading. These planes also decrease 17% of the fuel. Lastly, we have Club Premier in cybersecurity, which they extended the validity of the points until January 10 of 2023. And the cybersecurity are protecting data and components such as the software, networks, and infrastructure to ensure business continuity.
So as for some opportunities right now in the air travel or air service sector, the US right now, as per Mexico, recently allowed Mexicans to enter to the country through Aeromexico, just with this airline, with certain restrictions. And in other countries, there is becoming a more, state is becoming a more important role player, which creates the opportunity to shape the industry. Including greenhouse gas emissions or more balanced value sharing between airlines and airports, or ownership caps to allow greater inflows of foreign capital, among different characteristics. And as well, right now, due to the pandemic, less passengers means or creates the opportunity to include more cargo opportunities for transporting goods rather than people.
Now, because of the remote work trend that's been going on because of COVID-19, fewer people will have to take business trips to other cities or countries, which has recently decreased the air traffic. Several countries have also prohibited the entry to Mexican inhabitants and travelers who have recently been to Mexico. Such countries are Argentina, Canada, China, Japan, Portugal, the United Kingdom, Australia, and many more. And it is projected that airline traffic will continue to potentially decrease until 2024, where it is expected to return to 2019 or pre-pandemic levels. And as for the future, airlines may also look at reconfiguring their layout of their cabins to address increased share of leisure traffic and adapt spaces for a couple or group travelers. And we think that for the future, Aeromexico will continue to grow as the pandemic progresses as we go back to normality.
That will be all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And great challenges there. You know, like that kind of companies have been affected a lot because of COVID. And the fact that they are still there operating means a lot. Like they have strong skills and like opportunities to start growing, because if you see another company like Interjet, they didn't make it to count. So yes, it's a great challenge, and I think the most affected sector of a company that has been affected because of COVID. So thank you. And so team number 5, please. Someone for team number 5 can start presenting.
Excuse me, what team it is? It is Airbnb.
Team number 5, yes, Airbnb.
Okay, let me share my screen.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're gonna present Airbnb. Airbnb is an online marketplace that connects people who want to rent out their homes with people who are looking for places to stay. It covers more than 100,000 cities in 200 countries. There are over 6 million listings worldwide. It has served over 400 million guests. They have offices in 31 cities. And at any given time, guests book 1,900,000 listings.
Okay, so the 3 main innovations that Airbnb bring to the hotel industry is the value creation. Airbnb allow anyone with spare mattress or room to run their Airbnb. In number 2, value consumption. It wasn't common for travelers to stay at strangers' apartments in a new city. Airbnb created a new behavior. And number 3 is scalability. In the old ways, the hotel needed to buy more properties or rooms. Airbnb was the first hotel who doesn't own inventory. Instead, it scales by improving its ability to match users, leveraging better data.
Okay, as for opportunities, we have the increased presence in markets with lower penetration, such as China and Latin America and Southeast Asia and other smaller markets. We could also develop a financial strategy that will help the company get more profitability, as they stated that their revenue growth has slowed and they expect it to continue to slow in the future. And we have the trends adaptation. That means that their homes rented are smart homes.
Some of the challenges Airbnb faces nowadays with the pandemic is, first of all, assuring consumer safety during the pandemic. Throughout the pandemic, the increasing concern of COVID transmissions throughout surfaces has caused consumers to change their consumption habits. And this change can be reflected or can be seen in the increase of sale in several disinfection products, such as rubbing alcohol or hydrogen peroxide, which nearly double their sales value only in February of 2020. Another challenge is rebuilding the trust of their customers. Airbnb has had some troubles in the past in terms of customers being scammed by hosts. The customers also holding unauthorized parties and so on. And more of the recent challenges Airbnb has had to add to that list is the problems in the refund process, which, I mean, during the pandemic, it has increased the customers have increased the need to return their rentals. And finally, the challenge of economic recovery due to pandemic and government restrictions. It will heavily impact the operations of Airbnb, since considering that they had profitability problems pre-pandemic situations. Throughout the pandemic, because Airbnb is considered a short-term rental, they don't have the same restrictions as hotels have. So during the first months of the pandemic, Airbnb continued to operate. However, they decided to shut down their reservation system by mid-April. So this has caused them to increase their declines in sales value by almost 27.85% when compared to 2019 to 2020. So this is a big challenge they have to face.
As for the company's future, we want for Airbnb to be quite seen as a travel company, because it is becoming more of a living one because of the pandemic. So clients are not just using them for traveling purposes, they are expanding their stays. So it will be a good idea to make a preference tariff for longer stays. And we could also have like a new service offering. When booking a place, give the option to also buy plane or bus tickets for different airlines, giving the full experience. And that's all.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And yes, I think the same about they changing to more like a living service. When I went studying abroad, I was looking for an apartment to stay in, and I looked at in Airbnb, and they were scared when you like wanted to rent I don't know, an apartment for like 6 months. But right now, if you want to do so, there's an option that it gives you like Airbnb, so that they can know that you want to stay there for a while. So they have been adapting to that and changing to that. And it's a really good example of a company. And also through the pandemic, they've been doing like some other stuff that are not related to renting an apartment or going to vacations. And that was interesting to know. Thank you so much. So the last team number 6, Amazon.
Yes, let me share the screen.
Thank you.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay,
So we're team number 6, and we'll be talking about Amazon. We are Montserrat, Sebastián, Karen, Ricardo, and myself, Jimena. So to start off with the intangible value of Amazon, what do they do that their competitors don't? Well, they look to create and communicate a bold direction that sparks results. They think differently and look around corners for ways to serve customers. Amazon expects all of their employees to take full ownership of the entire company, not just like what their specific team, like all their employees, all the company. And what's all about their operations? Well, they mainly focus on outsourcing inventory management and in-source logistics. Over 50% of Amazon sales come from third-party sellers, not from themselves. Their supply chain heavily depends on the outsourcing of its inventory management. They also have different warehouses. These are all strategically placed in urban areas for different products and customer preferences. This allows them to deliver products faster for people who ask for 1 day or 2 day shipping. They also created Amazon Robotics, which pick and packs without human assistance. This has quickened their warehouse activities, and they use a push and pull strategy. What does this mean? They use a pure push for the products in their warehouses. This means they forecast demand on these products, and they have pure push pull for third-party sellers. This means they send these products on an order by order basis, so they don't have these products by hand. And they also have they have success and scale bring broad responsibility. They started in a garage and they have expanded to over 100 countries. And well, what are the main characteristics of the Amazon? It has a AWS culture. They look for builders to help them innovate the future of cloud computing. They are a powerhouse who looks to innovate. They have never been content to stay in lane. This has led to constant innovation. They are very customer-centered. Their leaders start with the customer and then work backwards. They are always focused on the customer. They want to keep their trust. And they are upcoming. They always look for ways to for use of robotics and new technologies to keep improving and to keep delivering what the customers need.
Well, the main innovations, Amazon have a monthly subscription that gives the customer free deliveries in the Prime products, and it also includes services like Amazon Prime Video, Amazon Music, Prime Photos, Prime Day, and Twitch TV rewards. Also the Prime Air, in which the company will deliver the packages in a less than 30 minutes time, and the Amazon Dash buttons that are a physical button that has a pre-programmed order. So if the customer just click the button and it will automatically order something from Amazon.
Some of the challenges and opportunities in the future will be the growth in the cloud, because AWS is still the #1 provider of cloud computing services, but it faces growing competition, especially from Microsoft, which has aggressively sought to sell big contracts to business and governments. Then we have the retail trade, because Amazon has a lot of room to grow in e-commerce to provide a great service to customers, but is facing also an increasing threat from big retailers like Walmart, which are using their own stores as shipping hubs. And also another challenge will be that Amazon has been subject to federal and state antitrust investigations in November 2020. So this will cause that it may be harder for them to acquire other businesses and imposing new rules for safeguard competition. The opportunities that we saw in Amazon is that after COVID-19, there may be a permanent shift to online shopping, so they must keep innovating its processes because consumers are likely to become more comfortable with Amazon technologies. And also another opportunity will be the cryptocurrency as a form of payment, because nowadays Amazon owns a handful of cryptocurrency domains that could help them to improve the payment method to their customers. And finally, another opportunity that we saw is that the demand of essential products and convenience are on the rise. So Amazon could expand its grocery options and renovate its Amazon Fresh Delivery program.
So what's Amazon future? Today, Amazon operates 50 country-specific sites. It offers Prime memberships in over 20 countries and delivers products to over 100 countries worldwide through Amazon Global. If we take into consideration Amazon's 20% yearly growth rate, We can expect all of these numbers to keep growing for the company itself to reach its current aim for 1 trillion in yearly revenue by 2027. However, Amazon is a company whose growth comes from its own constant innovation. Taking this into consideration, as a team, we believe that in our near future, we'll definitely see more country-specific sites, as well as an expansion of Amazon Robotics and Amazon Fresh in the United States, and similar countries with a large Amazon presence, such as Germany and India. We also expect to see an expansion of Amazon Prime subscribers in international markets, since this service is a vital part of the company's international expansion strategy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, well, Amazon, I think it's another company that everyone has used it maybe minimum as a once in time. So thank you so much. I think all the presentations were really cool and interesting. I don't know if someone has any comments that you want to make about the presentations, the companies, something that you want to share. Okay, don't worry. So I think the 6 of the companies are things and apps and places that we have been used like during our last years. So that's the point of it, that we're also a lot in contact with services. Like you can start thinking about what you use like in your daily life or in a week, and it will be involved with these types of company that offers a really good service. So it's just for you to open like your mind and start seeing like what things do you use that involves a service in it. So thank you so much, all of the teams. I really enjoy all the presentations. And so right now I will be start sharing the presentation that we're going to cover today. Okay, great. So let's start talking a little bit about society and global service economy. First of all, I want to start introducing to you these topics that I just mentioned yesterday, like these concepts. So service export modes. I think that you are already kind of involved on how to export and import a product itself, like just a physical product, but services tend to have a different type of export modes. And services have been growing in the last years. So that's why there's a necessity to put an exact name for the different types of export modes that they can have. So first of all, we have cross-border, which is the one that I've told you yesterday that has been growing a lot because it involves everything that is like it's a service transported across borders, but via electronic means, like or like an infrastructure. So during the last 2 years, it has been growing a lot because of e-commerce, and it has a lot of opportunity there too. So the second one is a consumption abroad, is when the customer travels to another city or another country, to use a service. I will give you an example just in a bit. So the third export mode is commercial presence. That is the most related to that you can have in mind. That is when a company opens up like a new subsidiary or a branch in a new country. And the last one is movement of natural persons, when an individual travels from their country to supply a service in another country. So this was defined by the World Trade Organization, just to have like sections and to identify what types of services are you offering or you're consuming. And just to give you an example, and that's why I just put Jonas Brothers when the class started, just for you to remember a good example. So this is an example that it didn't happen, but we can imagine it did. So I don't know if anyone knows Live Nation, that it's a company that is dedicated to have concerts in the US. So imagine that Live Nation wants to have the Jonas Brothers concerts. So The number one example for cross-border will be the Jonas Brothers giving a concert in the US, but Live Nation is open it abroad. So anyone can enter to the Jonas Brothers concert via online, and you will be like consuming the platform in Mexico, even though the concert is in the US. So that will be a cross-border type of service that it's via electronically and it's in another country, and you can see it pretty much in any country you want. So the next example will be consumption abroad. So imagine that the Jonas Brothers are going to have a concert in New York City and you want to go and see them. So basically, me traveling to, so it's the Jonas Brothers trying to go to have a concert. It was the other way around here in Mexico. So they're giving a concert abroad, physically coming to Mexico, and you want to see them. That's consumption abroad. So the commercial presence will be the Jonas Brothers going all around the world, like having a concert. And the movement of natural persons will be Live Nation, the company itself, like going in opening like a city in, I don't know, United Kingdom. So a company can apply all the four modes of exportation. And so why, like the main question in here is, why do we need them to classify them? So it's pretty much about regulations. You know, when you export a physical product, you will probably have to pay some taxes for it. And it will be pretty much easy because there has like a way to do so, and they have a specific tariffs or a specific percentage. And in services, it might get a little bit different of it because of the examples that I just told you. So you imagine that a Mexican consumer is traveling abroad for a concert. So I'm traveling to New York City to see the Jonas Brothers. How would they know that I'm Mexican and that I'm using like my Mexican payment? Like, how would they know where the money is coming from? So that's like the challenge that they are giving to services. Like, there's no like specific kind of way to knowing where do the money come from. If it will be a national thing, that will not be like traveling abroad or consumption abroad or something. So trying to identify how we're going to stipulate where the money comes from and how to regulate that, it's the main challenge that services is having. So you can imagine if I do this thing like a Mexican consumer traveling abroad for a concert, they might say, if you have an international like payment, you will be, I don't know, paying an extra fee because that's a charge of you not being from the country that the concert will be doing at, and that you are like an export service. But imagine that I have a friend in the United States and I will just, hey, please give me the card. I don't want to pay that fee. And that's when it gets complex. Like maybe there will be ways that they will have to find out and knowing how to find out, but some other times they won't, you know? So that's the challenge that the World Trade Organization is making. And we're going to be back at this topic later on in other class, but I just wanted to make like a brief and more concrete summary of the types of export modes, but we're going to be covering later. So just for us to have a little bit of conversation and not being me talking a lot, can someone give me an example of a company that can apply at least two service export modes? Some, like, I don't know, a company that comes into your mind when you think about it? Yes, Andres?
Probably an airline like United Airlines that has a ticket office in a country, but foreigners travel to other countries and use their services in other countries.
Yes, that's a good example too. Yeah. Thank you, Andres. Someone else has a different example?
Maybe a rental car service.
Okay, how would you explain that?
Well, they may have, I don't know, like in Europe, they may have, like in France, the cars and the offices, but then if the tourist wants to go somewhere else in Europe, they also have another office, so they can leave the car there.
Okay, and maybe sometimes they take the car like literally to another country. Like if it's Europe and it's small, sometimes you can take the car in France and just leave it in Belgium or something, right? Okay, yeah, thank you. That's a good example. Someone else has another example? Yes, Monse?
I don't know if I'm right, but it could be like the delivery companies like FedEx and Oops and all that stuff, because they have like treatment with like just like Amazon and all the platforms. They like can export delivery the packages and have different ways to do it, and it depends on the company that they are like engagement that.
Okay, yes. So a company that like kind of Amazon, they can, yes, like they have different types of services involved, and they are in like different countries, like their city. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Someone else has another example? Yes, Nancy?
Yes, yesterday that you mentioned Lego, I was thinking of it. In the case of Legoland, we will have to travel there. And well, in the case of the movies, they offer their movies in different platforms worldwide. So there are 2 different movies.
Yes, that's a pretty good example. And also like, yeah, when you have Legoland, you travel there to experience that. And I don't know if that happens, but sometimes they have to move like, you know, all the figures that they made in the stores. Like sometimes I imagine that they did do that like at that time, or like because they are huge. So I think that may be something that they also change like from city to city. I don't know. We will have to find out. But yes, thank you. Someone else has another example? Okay, great. So just thinking about like another example, it can also be Cirque du Soleil. I don't know if you have seen it, but they normally have like one specific city, and sometimes they start traveling like to other cities to give the show. So that will be also like another company that uses several types of service export. And maybe you have had the time to see them. I haven't, but that's a pretty good example too. Okay, so I will be back to present to you. Perfect. So talking about economic progression, maybe these things that I will going to be showing you, you already know that, but just to have like a refresh of these topics. So economic progression, we all know that all the economies have been passed through like certain steps to came to where they are. And sometimes, and like, I mean, most of the times they have followed this like the same path. They started focusing on agriculture, they're then going into industrialization, and they start going into services. That's like the normal path that all the countries starts following for them to have like a growth on it. In some countries, they just pass from agriculture directly to services, and some countries are just stuck in industrialization sections. So just to have like a context on these 3 sections, we're going to talk about that today. So all the economic activities are divided into sectors. the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. I mean, I know you probably know these types of topics, but just to give us a refresh, the primary sector is pretty much everything that is extracted and that is vital to survive, you know? I can give you here some examples: agriculture, livestock, forestry, hunting, fishing, mining. So there are things that we need for us to survive, like at any time in the world, no, in any country. So then we have to move to the secondary sector, which is where Mexico tends to be like more competitive at. That is transforming an activity, including manufacturing, industrial activity, construction industry. So it's pretty much like changing something or giving a procedure inside of something, like just to industrialize it. And then we have the tertiary sector, which is the service sector, that it's like a range of activity that create intangible value. It can be in a public environment or in a private environment. And maybe this is really obvious, but just to mention it, developing nations will normally be on a primary or in a secondary sector, which is the case of Mexico, that we are more specialized in secondary sector. And on the other hand, developed nations tend to be more related to the tertiary sector, which is the service sector. So just to give you this head up, the tertiary sector can be public or private. So in the public sector, it will give us everything that has to do with our taxes. So we paying taxes, the public sector takes that money and they will start administrating that for us. It could be seeing on the government, the public administration, the defense, the public transport, or something that it's available to everyone because it's given it to it through our taxes. So at the other side, on the private sector, it's anything that you have to be paying at because you want to. It's logistic, tourism, finance, consulting. This will be like a private sector, everything that you have to be paying like separately because you want to. So these are some examples, but also the tertiary sector can have both. If you can think about it, health, education, communication, we can have these in a public or in a private service. If you think about health, you can go and pay for a private hospital and they will take care of you. But if not, we will have the public hospital that they can attend you there too. Or in education, you can go to public education, like a public school, or you can pay for it and going for a private. Or communication. What do I mean about communication? If you see the television, there are some channels that are there for everyone, like the public channels. And there are also like streamings, Netflix, Spotify, and also like when you pay for Sky or Dish or something like that, there's that like the private service. So there could be a combination of both of them. It's just for you to trying to identify if it's a private, a public, or if you can see it in both sides. So just here to have a context, in all the sectors, there will be industries. So here we have an example of it. In the tertiary sector, just to give you some examples, there are like tourism, entertainment, and inside of those sectors, we will have industries, different industries. So in the tourism, we have hospitality, travel agencies, attractions, and in entertainment, we will have sports, films. So it's important just for us to make this division, for us to see that in each industry, we will have competitive advantage, we will have competition, we will have several companies doing the same, but having like an extra competitive advantage that makes them different from their competitors. So in the tertiary sector, we will have several sectors which have industries, which will have companies, you know? So just like that's the general map for us to see. So I here put some data just for you to know like the importance of each of the sectors. So in here, we see that in 2017, the distribution sector is the more like the one that has the greatest percentage of representation in services. And then we will have the financial service. So this is just for you to know which type of industries will be more like related to services in statistics, just for you to have it there. And well, as I just mentioned, these services will be regulated in different ways. So sometimes we will just think that the World Trade Organization is knowing that services are going up and growing, and they have a large representation on the world GDP, as I told you yesterday. So they will have to know and identify how to regulate them. And we will think, okay, the World Trade Organization will be the one regulating everything related to services. But that will be the case, but not exactly the case. So here I put you several types of classification exits. For example, the United Nations International Standards Industry Classifications. ISIC is one of the examples. North American Industrial Classification System, Statistical Classification of Economic Activities in the European Community, Global Industry Classification Standard, Industry Classification Benchmark. So there are a lot of companies or organizations, involved in here in talking about how to regulate services and how to classify them. And here is like an example of how ISIC, the organization ISIC, is doing the regulation of services. So here they put like all of the services that you can imagine, from A to R. And then if you don't see like a specific service that you want to search of, it will probably be other services activities. So it's just to give you an example, and you don't have to memorize this like by heart. It's just for you to open your mind that the World Trade Organization will not be just the only organization that is involved in regulations. So, okay, talking a little bit about tertiarization. So this is like a specific case. It might be the case for the United States, from India, from Europe, that they shift from the primary sector directly into the tertiary sector. So this can happen. It involves a lot of investment and a lot of like human talent, because services are, we know services need to have like a lot of human talent in order to work on it. It's not just machines. It has to have like thinking aside, no? So it's just for you to have in mind tertiarization. We will also be coming back to see more about this specific topic. So why evolve? Why will companies and why will countries will need to have a focus on services and start like going or having more information about it? So just to give you some statistics, as I mentioned there's no need for you to memorize anything. It's just like general context. So services generate more than 2/3 of the economic output, attracts over 2/3 of foreign direct investment, and provide almost 2/3 of jobs in developing countries and 4/5 in developed countries. So this is the magnitude of services. This is the thing that they put the most in anything, in representation of economics, in investment, in jobs. So it's good to know how it works, and having this said so, I will give you more statistics. So here is the trade in goods and the trade in services and how they have been like in the last years. So you can see that commercial services, which is the orange one, is going up more than goods, which give us like the good representation of what I just said before. So yes, while the value of goods exports has increased at a modest 1% annual since 2011, the value of commercial services exports has expanded 3 times the rate, being 3% the rate of increase. So right now, maybe if you think about history, the trading of goods has been like here on Earth for a long time, like more than 100 years ago, more than that. So imagine if services has just several years like being a thing and being having topics on it and concepts and studies, and they have been growing faster. So imagine what will be the future of services in 5 more years. They will probably have like a more differentiation between good and services. So it's just for you to know that. Here we can see that this is like the service account for an increasing share of GDP according to services. So developed countries service trade will be the key to retaining global competitiveness and building on their technology strengths. So developed countries that have already been strong in services, they will have to keep it down in it, start like retaining the global competitiveness, because even though that they are already there, some other countries will start going like having them aside, and that will be a great challenge that developed countries will be doing that. And at the other hand, developing countries, service trades offers an opportunity to leapfrog into more high value added exports and to diversify away from resources or manufacturing. So that's the way that they're saying, like developing countries starting to move into more like not the primary and the secondary sector, but the tertiary sector. So here's just like to give you an example of the computation that they have been doing in the last years. And how can a country support economic progression? So here is the World Development Indicators of the World Bank. Here we have some information. So they divide the sector. So here is the gross domestic products in billions of dollars. Then we have the agriculture sector. Then we have the industry and the manufacturing sector. That will be the secondary sector. I don't know why they just divided in here into 2. And then we have the representation of services. So this is a really good data for you to extract every information that you want. I think that this will be the official site in case of these kinds of data for our class, the World Bank. And here I just put you an Excel that gives you a more exact information. I just put like one extra column on it. I will be sharing again, so give me a second. Okay, great. So here, as you can see, this is the new column that I just added. This gives you the GDP based on services, but instead of a percentage, it's like this column, which is in billions. So I don't know if anyone wants to, I don't know, search a specific country. Are you interested to see like how the United States is doing, or Mexico, or any country, someone?
Well, I guess Mexico will be interesting to see.
Okay, let's see Mexico. Okay, here. Well, Mexico, the percentage of services in 2019 is 60.5%. So it's not bad. I mean, even though our like the GDP is more in here in services, we still have a lot of industry here, like in the secondary sector. As we know, like if people are here from Monterrey, we're like the industrial city, so we can have these aside from the services. And yeah, but it's interesting to see. Tomorrow we will see Mexico, like specifically how they're doing in services, and we will have to compare these numbers. So just remember 60%. And someone wants to see another country. I don't know, we can see, for example, Panama. So 65%, even though like they declined here in 2010, there were like 72.9% and they went to 65. Is someone like interesting in this data, specifically in Panama? What do you think about Panama being like a service country or like a secondary sector country? What do you think?
Definitely a service country because of the channel and the financial cluster.
Yes, that's true. And that's important for you to say, the clusters. We're going to cover that also the next class. And yes, like thinking about Panama, I will say that this gave me an impression. I thought it would be like a biggest number because, you know, the channel of Panama, it's their main use, you know, but even though it's 65, it's more than Mexico, so that says something. And thank you, Andres, for your participation. Okay, so I just wanted to have another example here.
Miss, can you check Israel?
Yes, of course.
Can you check also after that Saudi Arabia or maybe the United Arab Emirates?
Okay, yes, of course. Okay, here. Israel, 69.8% in services. So why do you think it's that? Like, I mean, it's biggest like than Panama. So someone has any ideas of it?
Well, their intelligence agencies and intelligence centers are pretty big and pretty important in the world. Even though there is a country where traditions are really respected and as to say so, they are very conservative. They are not afraid of technology, and well, they are one of the biggest and most important intelligent countries in the world, which they provide also like security and not only in the army, but under governments and other governments. I think I was hoping it was a little bit bigger.
Yeah, really. Yes, it gives me like, o sea, it's greater than Panama, and that's a thing. I think that they're doing great, and they are investing a lot in human talent, and that's what the great differentiation that they are having there in Israel. Yeah, that was a really good example. Thank you, Raul. Okay, so now United Arab Emirates, right?
Yeah, or Saudi Arabia.
Okay, if you want, I can give you both.
Yes, please.
Miss, and next one, is there a way you can filter like the highest, just for out of curiosity to see who's the highest?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
You just skipped it, Professor.
It was.
What? Remember me the city, the country?
Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia.
No, it's at the top.
Oh my God. Singapore, Seychelles, Serbia, Senegal, Saudi Arabia. Thank you. Okay, here we have. So what do you think about it? I think it's...
in that case, it's lower than what we have
lower.
seen. Because their economies have been very dependent on the extraction of petroleum.
Okay.
However, I know that they are trying to diversify because they know that on the long run, petroleum and oil will run out. So they are trying to diversify their economies so that they are not too dependent on fossil fuels.
Yes, that's interesting to know. Like, and you telling about the diversification, they are doing so. Like, I mean, it's pretty much almost like 50-50. So like in secondary sector and tertiary, it's a really good example. Yes.
And if
And
you
I
see,
mean,
for example, I'm sorry.
no, you tell me.
If you see, for example, agriculture, it's very low because
Yes.
they are desert countries. So their fertile soil, it's very limited.
Yes, and if you do saying so, if they're really dependent on agriculture, they will start being like really strong in services because they need a way for them to find that the food and everything that they have not been extracting from their country from another country. So they have to take that things that they're missing on from another country. So services like transportation will have to be pretty strong, and that's what they're doing. Yes, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, I
So
know that. I'm sorry.
no, Andres, go ahead. Don't worry.
I know that, for example, the Gulf countries, especially Kuwait and UAE and Saudi Arabia, have made significant investments in real estate in Europe. For example, I don't know if you know this. It is the highest building in London, the Shard. It is called. That entire district is owned by the Emir of Kuwait, and
Wow.
the monarchy of these countries have like private funds to finance those types of ventures, like in real estate or travel, etc. So they're really pushing away from petroleum.
Yes, they know that there will be like a limited resource, so they have to be involved in it in some new ways. But I mean, the good thing is that they have the resources, they have money, and they can invest in anything, and they're doing so faster, I think so. Okay, thank you, Andres, for your participation. I really appreciate it. Okay, so talking about what country will be the largest, like in terms of percentage, I wanted to show to you this. So there's a country that it's 94.2%, which is Macau. Does someone knows why Macau has like this big percentage of it?
Is it because
Any
it's
guess?
the Las Vegas from China? The Chinese
Yes.
Las Vegas?
Yes.
There's casinos and gambling and
Yes.
hotels.
So it will, yes, exactly. So it will be like kind of a touristic casino pretty much in Asia. It's like the Las Vegas in Asia. So government, they really put like a lot of money on it. They're like support with regulations so that they can do so. And I mean, they pretty much live of it. Like they don't have any agriculture in here. So everything is just in services. And that's an interesting like way, like how, well, just to give you a background, Macau is a little island. It was a Portuguese colony once, and now they are not. And yes, they have like a really big percentage, and it's the biggest percentage that you will see here in this database. But when you see this column, it will be changing. Like even though they are the biggest percentage, it will not be like the one that has a lot of billions on there, right? So if we want to look like which country gives more of in terms of money, we will have like a complete different example. So which country do you think it will be the one that has like the greatest GDP based on services in terms of billions of dollars?
I have a question.
Yes.
Well, it's for everyone. Do you think that the historic context in which Macau is involved, being Portuguese and ex-Portuguese colony, has affected its like gambling culture? Anyone can answer it. My classmates also.
Okay, so you're saying like that's why like being a colony from Portuguese tend to have like these types of, or
I don't know. It's a very interesting case because you can also argue the same about Hong Kong, which was a British colony, and they have acquired many similarities to their British colonizers.
Okay, yes.
And I don't know if Portugal or Brazil have a very large gambling culture. However, I don't know if this type of colonization has affected the like the lifestyle of Macau.
Yes, it might be so because you don't see that like in China or, you know, in any other city over there. So it might have something to do with it. Like they have like you can say that they have the culture thing, and then they saw the opportunity to grow in that in that sector, and they just go with the opportunity that they saw. I don't know if anyone thinks like in another way, or like what do you think? Someone has listened to Macau or have an idea of what they do in that island? No? Okay, don't worry. Okay, so continuing here, I will put you the biggest number here. So anyone, any ideas who this country might be? Any guess?
I think that the United States.
Yes, I think this might be obvious, like they are pretty good on this. And if you see, they have 77.4% of services. I mean, it's a higher, but it's not the highest. But they have the highest number here in terms of billions of dollars. So it's interesting to see this. So someone else wants to search another country, just like curiosity or something?
What about in India?
Okay, let's see, India.
Could you then search for Japan?
Portugal?
No,
Yes.
Japan.
Japan, okay, sorry, yes. So here is India, 49.9%. Do you know, guys, what is India doing right now, like in terms of services? So basically, India right now is like doing a lot in like kind of telecommunication things. You know, the offices where they just like made like, you know, the call center. They're doing a lot of that, and they have like they're investing a lot in human talent, and we will be expecting this to be growing in the next years. Or what do you think? Does this number like was what you were thinking of, or do you thought it will be like a greatest number? What do you think? Like, I mean, it's a lot here too. Like they have a big representation in terms of money.
Well, I think India has been implementing, well, since it is not very long since they acquired their independency. They are new into this like service world, but they have been advancing very rapidly. They are very big in the mobile gaming industry, which is everything about the electronics and, as you say, so gaming. But mainly mobile. I think also in the fintech sector they do also, and they just recently just try to ban cryptocurrency as a payment method, and it's very big. And I think their delivery apps and food apps are also very big, since many of their food industry businesses are kind of like informal in a way, so they are trying to also bring that attention into them.
Yes, they're doing a lot on it. So I think that what we're going to be expecting from India is for this number to be growing. also. And if you can see, they have like a big agriculture thing right now. Like, I don't think that they don't do anything on agriculture. They also do so. So they have pretty much like a diversified percentage in anyone, like in any sector. But that will be cool. Perfect. So someone else wants to see Japan, right? So here's Japan. What do you think about Japan? What's the main problem that we see here in Japan? First of all, the agriculture. They depend a lot on other countries. So of course, this number will have to be like a big number. Do you thought it will be this way? Yes.
I thought it will be big because like what I haven't been to Japan, but when you look at it, they focus a lot of their economy like mainly on satisfying the people in Japan. Like there's a lot of cafes, there's a lot of like apps, everything focuses on the people rather than products. Like how can I satisfy the people here? Like what do they want rather than like what can I give them? And I think that the agriculture thing like is definitely a problem because when you go there, the food's really expensive, especially like fruits and vegetables. Well, it looks like it's imported because of the price.
Exactly. That will be like a disadvantage of it for them to be like so dependent in other economies. Like they're now autosufficient, you know? So that will be like an area of opportunity. But I mean, everyone is encouraging the others to move through services. But I mean, sometimes it will be affecting other areas of the economy. So Andres, you put something in the chat. Yeah, they don't have any space.
What Hima just said, that they don't have any space for agriculture, and I think that's why, for example, also beef, Japanese beef, Wagyu beef is so expensive because it is very premium, and since they don't have a lot of space, the cattle that they grow needs to be very premium and high quality. I think that's why Wagyu beef is one of the most expensive meat cuts in the world.
Of course, and also you say something interesting here. So sometimes the limitation for a country to being in an agriculture sector, moving into a service sector, it will be because of the geography. If they have a small geography, they will not have enough space to make themselves like a really big industrialization or camps who have agriculture. So they will be forced like to be in a service sector. Like they will not have a lot of a choice. Yes, Andres?
Yes, and just to recall what Raul said about Israel, now that you mention agriculture, Israel has one of the most advanced irrigation systems in the world.
Okay.
And that is proof that even in tough conditions that you just mentioned, Professor, agriculture can still be possible.
Yes, of course. Yes, and even though like it's interesting to see here, even though you said like Israel has a good irrigation system, well, they might be like this 1% that they are having. It's pretty much for themselves. Like they don't do money like internationally of that. Like it's just mainly to survive like special things that they need there, like in the specific zone. Yes. So that's interesting. Someone else wants to see like another country? Something that comes into your mind?
Miss, is there a way that we
Yeah,
can?
maybe China.
Okay. Yes, I will put China. Raul, you were saying something?
Yes. Is there a way that we can acquire this table, or can you
Yes,
share
of
with
course.
us?
Yes, you will have it in Canvas.
Oh, thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, you're welcome. Okay, so China. Here's China. So as you know, I don't know, like China has a really good agriculture, but it will be the same case kind of Israel. They do it just for themselves. Like they don't dedicate, or their economy is not for exporting agricultural things. But they have a good number here, even though like they also have a lot in here in the secondary sector. I mean, because of all the fabrics and all the things that they produce over there. So yes.
Miss, can you check South Africa or and like Kenya? Like a place in-
Okay. I will put both of them.
After that, can you check Australia and New Zealand?
Yes. So Kenya is there. And South Africa, right?
Yes, thank you.
Oh my God. So here's South Africa. Oh, China. Okay, no. Wait, give me a moment. There you have. Okay, so South Africa is really good. Like it's kind of Mexico. That impressed me. Okay, in Kenya it's not that bad too. But I mean, you can see here in agriculture, they have a lot of representation of the GDP in here. Most of it, so they will be like in the case of Kenya, they will be having agriculture and services, but not that much of the secondary sector. So that's interesting to see, yes. Someone has any comment on this? Great. Well, let's see. You wanted to see also, you said, Andres,
Australia. and New
Australia.
Zealand.
Okay. Mm. Oh my God. Done. Here we have. Okay, in New Zealand. They're pretty much almost the same. Okay.
I
This is what you
expected-
expected to see? Uh-huh.
In agriculture, I expected New Zealand to have a somewhat large number because I know they grow a lot of cattle and sheep.
Okay. Yes, I mean, they have more than Australia. Like, Australia will be the same case, kind of like Japan. Like,
Although
they
Australia is much larger than New Zealand.
Yeah,
New Zealand
exactly.
has a larger share.
Yes, that's interesting. Great. Someone else want to see like the last country?
Can we see either Ireland or Switzerland? Like a country from Europe, since we've been seeing like Asia, Latin America, but we haven't seen Europe.
Okay, let's see Switzerland. Okay, let's put Sweden too. Okay, so Switzerland. What do you think happens here in Switzerland? Like we've mentioned it like in the past class.
Financial services?
Yes, a lot of financial services. And also like they're really small country. So like, I mean, where would you put like something of agriculture there, like, or some factor? It will be difficult for them to. So yes, this representation is pretty accurate of considering their possibilities geographically. Okay, and Sweden, like they have pretty much the same behavior here. Great. So now that you have seen, like we played a lot of these, I think it's a really good example for you to see and start like researching and knowing and learning on how this, like the countries have their representation on the GDP. You know, some countries will not have anything in here. You can see a lot of examples over here, like no information, but in the others, we have a lot of it. It's just like small percentage of the countries that we do not have information. And in here, you can also see it by region, like generally, it will be divided by the world. So you can see here, the world percentage of the GDP in services will be 61.2%. And if you remember, Mexico is in 60. So we're not that bad, but still, like, we can have areas of opportunity to grow. And in here, in Latin America, is 60.6%, which is more accurate than Mexico, but we're not on the average of Latin America yet. So in here, you can also be seeing like by region, if you want. Here we have more data if you want to go. And about, oh, sorry. So here in about, it's a little bit of the information and how to put like, to get into the World Bank. So just remember, you can click in here and it will take you directly to the platform where we extracted all the information, but you will not have like only this column, just for you to know. But okay, so that was pretty much the Excel that I wanted to show to you. And in here, just to close the class.
Professor, did you make that Excel or did you download it from a web page?
No, yes, it's downloaded for a web page. I only added the column, the last column, the one that is like the GDP in billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. But there in the Excel, in the information, in the third sheet, you will find out the link directly so that you can go and play, like if you want over there or if you wanted to have it in the Excel. So it will be your choice. Yeah, you're welcome.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. So here it will be like a general summary. In here I just put it like the countries that you will have it like in your mind most. So it's interesting to see the percentage here, the GDP based on services, the percentage, and the gross domestic product in billions, as we see it here. So the first country will be United States, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, it's a lot of money. And then China, Japan, Germany, United Kingdom, France, and India. Just like for you to have this general picture of how the GDP in services is represented in these countries. And that is it, pretty much. Does anyone has any questions, comments, something that you want to comment for the class about what we just see? No one? I think it was a great class, like we've seen a lot. So thank you so much for your time. I just want to make a quick reminder for you to upload the presentation. You will have the space to upload it in Canvas. And that will be it for today. If you have any questions, I will stay here like a little few more minutes. And that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we'll see
Adrian
next, right?
Excuse me?
So we see Adrian next, like from 9 to 11?
Yes. So you will have these 20 minutes just for you to rest and like be aside of the computer for a while, and then you come back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Have a nice day.
you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Miss.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, bye.
Teacher, I'm sorry, but do we upload just one document, one presentation per team?
Yes, that will be it. Like it will automatically give the grade for all your class, for all your team members.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Professor, I just wanted to tell you that I just recently joined this class. Yesterday, Adrian made the change. So for you to know, I don't know,